Greetings, YouTube. This article is from January 2017, and it deals with one of my favorite politicians, Richard Nixon. The New York Times has published excerpts from the Richard Nixon aide H.R. Haldeman's notes, proving that during the 1968 presidential election, Nixon did, in fact, as he always denied doing, sabotage peace talks that could have ended the Vietnam War years earlier, saving thousands of unnecessary deaths, potentially giving Hubert Humphrey an edge in the election. So not only was he an ordinary, everyday criminal, he was a war criminal and committed treason. Because I don't think you can see that as any other thing. Now it's important, and I say he's one of my favorite politicians, because he's the politician that really began the whole war on the middle class with the Southern strategy. And Nixon leads to Reagan, leads to W, and of course leads to El Cheeto. They're all connected. There is that their politics every generation gets worse and worse and uglier, and they are at this point nothing but a terrorist organization. They have sowed death and deceit wherever they go. They are a poison to our species. But Nixon was a particularly good example of the early GOP's efforts to move forward with this anti-American, anti-democratic policies. He got caught. Later, those that followed him in the later generations of Republican politicians have gotten better at not getting caught and creating an atmosphere where they have convinced their base that they can't trust journalists, they can't trust experts, they can't trust reason or logic or data. They can only trust their gut. And of course, your gut isn't going to be any use in a court of law. And all the things that will be useful in a court of law, they have been convinced they shouldn't trust. But it started with Nixon, and he was even more horrible than we could possibly imagine he was originally. So yeah, I recommend taking a look at it. It's ugly. And Nixon got the ball rolling, folks. He started the war. He was the beachhead landing. And Reagan was the Marines, and the main troops followed after him. And it's horrible. And it's ugly. And they've cost probably millions of lives at this point through their machinations. So yeah, the GOP and one of their most vaulted saints, Nixon, are morally bankrupt.